This is Between the Uprights.
Football is life. The rest is just details.
Here are your hosts, Joe, Matt, and Chris.
Welcome into Between the Uprights. I'm Joe, that's Matt. Chris couldn't be here today, but that doesn't mean we're not going to be giving you that great football breakdown you come here for day in, day out, all the time, 24/7, 365. But first, before we get into all of that great football action, please hit that like and subscribe button for me. It means a lot to us right now. We're just getting this thing going, and we want to keep putting out the content that you want to see. So hit that like and subscribe button. We would greatly appreciate it. Now, another week and another Jets video from us. And I don't know. I don't want to do these. I don't want to do these anymore. The Jets fire their head coach in Robert Saleh. They demote their play caller in Nathaniel Hackett. They go out and they trade for Davante Adams, and the only thing that has changed is the number in the L column. That's right. The Jets are now 2-5. And just so we're clear, never have I ever seen a team come into the regular season and have just massive expectations. Like, this was supposed to be a division contender. We thought they were going to win this division. They want to run away with it because the Buffalo had questions. Could Miami stay healthy? We all knew what the Patriots were going to be. And yet they are mired at the bottom with the Patriots, who they faced this week, with the Miami Dolphins, who have played 4 different quarterbacks. And the Bills are running away with this division. And there were even CBS picked the Jets to represent the AFC in the Super Bowl and win the Super Bowl this year. That's not happening. Let me tell you why I say that's not happening. 168 teams have been 2-5, and only 10, Matt, 10 have ever made the playoffs. And just to be clear, if there is a chance that the Jets lose to the Patriots this week, 189 teams have been 2-6. 3 have made the playoffs. The 1970 Bengals, the 2020 Commanders, and the 2022 Jaguars, who had to win the division to make the playoffs. And guess what? The Jets are not going to do. Win this division. So that brings me to this. And this is more not just this year, but also looking at next year, Matt. And I'm going to ask you, has the Jets playoff window closed?
Was it ever open? I mean, did that window ever open? I mean,
it felt like it was like
when was it open? They've literally last year.
Correct.
So listen, last year, 7 games in, with Zach Wilson at quarterback, they're 4-3. Okay, so maybe it was open then, but even then, like, you're 4-3 with Zach Wilson. Nobody thinks you're going to the playoffs. This year, you swap Aaron Rodgers for Zach Wilson. You go from 4-3 through 7 games, and now you're 2-5. And it's a different excuse. It's a different excuse every week, Joe. You want to know for those of you who don't know me, I played some college baseball. I played some semi-pro baseball. I've been in a lot of locker rooms. I've had a lot of teammates in my life. Okay. So many teammates, all of the worst teammates, like as far as like, they're the worst players on the team and like the worst people to be around. All of my worst teammates, you want to know what they had a lot of? Excuses. Every single day, they come in with a different excuse. Why they couldn't get their extra work in. Why they didn't do this. Why they struck out today. Why they're so bad, right? They always have an excuse for everything. And for the Jets, every single week, it's been a different excuse. Week 1, we played the Niners. The Niners are too good. The Aaron Rodgers first game off an Achilles, even though he had plenty of time to prepare. If he wasn't in Egypt, he could have been practicing with his team, but he didn't have enough time to prepare. It was week 1. We're playing the Niners. What'd you expect? Okay. Week 2, we're the best. We beat Will Levis in the Titans. We're the best. We have to find a way to deal with success. We're going to be dominant. Week 3, we beat the Patriots. We beat Jacoby Brissett and the Patriots. We're the best. I don't know how we're going to be able to deal with all this success. Week 4, you lose to the Broncos 10-9 against Bo Nix. Well, it was raining. It was raining. We have to get our cadence right. Our cadence is wrong. We have to get the cadence right. We had too many pre-snap penalties. This is all bad. Week 5, you lose in London Going down 17-0, Rodgers throws 3 picks. Rodgers says, get Robert Saleh out of here. Let's bring in random defensive coordinator who's never once head coached the NFL team. Week 6, we have the loss to the Buffalo Bills. We need Davante Adams. If we don't get Davante Adams, there's nothing going wrong. All our kicker has to do is make some kicks too, by the way. If our kicker makes kicks, we're all good. And then week 7, you get blown out by the Steelers. What's the excuse this time? I want to know what's the excuse? You're going to keep losing every single game, and every single game you're going to have an excuse. And sure enough, you're going to be 2-15 and nowhere near the playoffs because you have all these excuses and no results to show for it. So the New York Jets, again, we've talked about this 100 times. It starts from the top down. The ownership is shit. Your owner is terrible at what he does. And that leads all the way down to the rest of the organization. And by the way, I must say, it's the owner, it's the general manager. He's made some good selections. The roster looks good on paper, but if the roster looks good on paper and you're 2-5, it doesn't really fucking matter. Okay. It doesn't matter if the roster looks good on paper and you're 2-5. Okay. So the GM hasn't done a great job. The head coach already got fired, and that leaves one man and one man alone to take some of this blame, but he doesn't want to take the blame. He wants to blame everybody else. Right. So at first, he blamed Robert Saleh. Robert Saleh got fired. Then he goes and blames Mike Williams. You go and get Davante Adams, right? You lose this week when you got Davante Adams and Robert Saleh isn't there. Who else are we going to blame? Let me think. Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers, you need to be better. You are playing terrible. The whole team is your homies. Your whole team is just your friends, okay? So you have to play good now. Like, you can't keep being a terrible quarterback. You have been awful. You've literally been worse than what Zach Wilson is last year, okay? With more weapons around you. So again, there's so many things wrong with the New York Jets. And we just, but again, thank God for the Jets because we talk about them all the time, okay? They're really, really entertaining to talk about. But there's so many things wrong with the Jets that everything has to change. Their playoff window is over. Nothing's going to change until the ownership changes. Nothing's going to change until you get an actually good quarterback. Because breaking news, Jets fans, Aaron Rodgers ain't good anymore. He's got the name recognition. He's got a really, really good name. And again, we sit here and shit on the Jets all the time. We sit here and shit on Aaron Rodgers all the time. When Aaron Rodgers was in his prime, he's got one of the prettiest games to watch. If you want to go watch highlights of an NFL quarterback, Aaron Rodgers is at the top of the list. He has some beautiful highlights. He throws a beautiful pass. But you know who else has beautiful highlights? Kevin Durant. And you want to know what Kevin Durant does, NBA fans? He wins in very specific, very talented environments. Whenever he gets out of those environments, he doesn't win. And by the way, I actually like Kevin Durant off the field or off the court for his case. I like him off the court. He's actually really entertaining. He seems like a genuine guy. Aaron Rodgers is the most egotistical, self-centered superstar that we've ever seen in the NFL. Like, it's atrocious. You hear him talk. He was blaming the media after the game last. What the hell did the media do? They're literally just covering the game. They're covering you guys being trash, and you're blaming them. It's an absolute joke what's going on with the Jets. So no, the Jets playoff window isn't closed because it never opened in the first place, Joe.
Oh my God, bro. That was the greatest rant I've ever gotten an opportunity to witness. And I'm just going to be honest. I don't even really feel like I need to say anything. Like, it is that bad. And, you know, it's funny. We on a previous video, we talked about how, you know, the Cleveland Browns are watching Baker Mayfield have success in Tampa. I wonder how Jets fans and the Jets organization feels looking at Geno Smith and Sam Darnold. And I just hope that Zach Wilson gets a chance to play sometime soon and just balls the fuck out too. And then it's just going to be like, what then, Jets fans? What is your, I mean, it doesn't make sense. And we've talked about this so much. I almost feel like we need to make a segment where just every week we talk about the Jets and we just call it shitting on the Jets.
Yep.
And it's just like a porta potty on top of a plane is the logo for it. We'll just put it up there. It'll slide to the left. It'll be great. But I don't, you know, and we talk about this so often. And like I said, I don't want to be here talking about the Jets anymore. It just, thank God that, you know, thank God for the fucking Jets, though.
Thank God for
because at least I hate to talk about it so much because it's always so frustrating. Because I know Jets fans. I'm friends with Jets fans. Jets fans consistently, you know, are always talking shit to me because obviously I'm a Patriots fan. So that, you know, division rivalry goes on all the time. But I know they go home and cry themselves to sleep at night because
they got to.
There's you'd have no, like, they have it's almost like Stockholm syndrome at this point.
Mm-hmm.
Like they've told you they're so good. They've told you they're good without actually being good, and they've hurt you so much that you just like flip it and start to just ignore all the bad and pay attention to all the good. This is if there's another football team that needs to have new ownership like this, they need a whole regime change, top to bottom. And I just don't know if this is ever going to happen for them, because I just don't see the Woody Johnson letting it go. They're going to be bad for a very long time. And like you said, they've made good draft choices. This is a cultural thing. They need to find the closest thing to Dan Campbell. Just a guy who, no matter how bad the team is, can come in there and get these guys to fight and make these guys play for each other. Because right now, you just have toxicity throughout that entire organization, top to bottom. I mean, we saw it when Geno Smith was there. They got in fights in the locker room because the coach couldn't handle the situation and keep everyone, on the same page. Rex Ryan was the last person to put any sort of, culture in there. And, he's not coming back. The organization did him dirty. I think they did Mark Sanchez dirty on one bad play. They had just gone AFC championship games, everything like that. But, you put one bad play in there and suddenly it just all goes downhill because of how the culture is there. And I think what made it worse for me was the Robert Saleh firing. Woody Johnson came out and said, yeah, they met in their office like 10 minutes before they walked down there and decided to fire him.
It's crazy.
Just, you had a 10-minute conversation about what you were going to do going forward with your organization, and it ended with, let's go fire the head coach. And then, the funny thing is we're like, well, as soon as the offense gets on track, this team's going to be good. And then Russell Wilson's first game this season,
damn near a
40 looks like 2013 Russell Wilson and is throwing rainbows and dropping 35 points on your head. So you fire Robert Saleh, who's known for defense, had turned this defense around, really kind of gotten that culture going on the defensive side of the football. You fire him, you promote the DC because, it wasn't Robert Saleh, it was the DC. Your defense falls apart because now your defensive coordinator is now your head coach. He's got way more responsibility because, that makes fucking sense. Like, you would have been better off, I think, just promoting Nathaniel Hackett.
Might as well at this point.
Like, I mean, if the ship's going down, at least put someone at the flag, at the helm who's used to driving a ship underwater. You know what I mean? Like Nathaniel Hackett drove Denver hundreds of feet underwater, which is pretty fucking hard to do in a stadium that's a mile in the sky. So, I mean, this is bad. And what can I say? I'm just going to make the Jets will continue to do
this. This has been Between the Uprights. Football is life. The rest is just details.